Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. And so when I met him 5 years ago in Vancouver to make a speech for him, I brought this along, and he started crying. And he says, I didn't think you'd keep it. I said, yeah, I kept it. And I told you what to do. It was 20 years ago then. Now it's 23 or 24 years ago. And you did it. And so we have I have a lot of history with a lot of mentees that have gone on. And now, as I said in the seminar 2 or 3 times, I'm training some of their children. And it's easier training the second generation. It's just easier. Please call me Mr. Peña until you do a deal. Go ahead. Because rich people, contrary to rich people talk, contrary to what rich people put on YouTube, they all know inflation is a hand job. If you're worried about taxes and or inflation, you're not making enough fucking money. So the value of your money is going to halve. I know all that. You just make more money.
All right. Money you haven't spent, though, that's in your estate.
Fine. It's worth half.
Okay.
Or not half, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Does it look like it's hurt me any?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but I mean, you guys, see, you ask questions about pennies. One of my famous stories, about 10 years ago, we had a guy, a decent man, that his $80,000 a year to put his daughter in a private school. And he was a real estate broker and a preacher, a minister. And his preacher business didn't pay him anything, and his minister and his real estate business was in the toilet. And so during the breaks, almost every break that we had during the seminar, you guys were trying to sit around and come up with, how's he going to come up with $80,000 to put his kid through school? Then finally, one of the guys went up and gave him a check for $80,000. I'm so fucking tired of hearing you whine and bitch and bring all these other guys into your problem. Here's $80,000. Shut the fuck up. You worry about pennies. You and your fucking short. I mean, I'm so fucking tired of that. And by the way, all the Russian and the Serbian and these cocksuckers all sound alike. Nobody feels sorry for them. Nobody gives a fuck about you. These guys wouldn't piss in your fucking face if it was on fire.
And we know it.
I know it. I hope you know it. But you whine about this shit because people listen to you. They give you tacit approval. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody. Just like when we ran out of money, my dad, we moved to the Valley because I got thrown out of school. And he went and got 2 more jobs. That's how he paid for the house payment. You hardly can find anybody who's got 3, 4, 5 jobs anymore.
They do, but they work 2, 3 hours a job.
Yeah, well, I mean, during Corona, I mean, because you could work from home. We had kids, working having 3 full-time jobs. They were only working 10 hours a week on 3 full-time jobs. I mean, oh, guys, you're so far down the rabbit hole, you have no idea. It's called the rabbit hole of despair. I've never been down the rabbit hole. I've been down at plenty of holes, believe me, but not the rabbit hole.
Guys, if you're going to ask a question or make a comment, there's mics. Kindly use it for recording purposes.
God almighty. And it's worse now. In the 90s, the kids had some sacs. And now hardly anybody's got any sacs. Testicles. It's just, I wish, I hate it. I wish I could have. I had filmed this shit from the beginning. It would be a documentary that would stop clocks. It would change humanity. Fuck. You have no idea what a wormy cunt you are as a generation. You want to say something?
Sir, I was wondering, in terms of speaking of the old days, what would you consider out of all of your out of your experiences the highest and lowest points?
No, I had no low points. High points, my kids being born, me meeting Sally, and taking an option public and setting a financial history, and it's never been repeated. And high points, I'm never going to get credit for QLA and teaching the poor man how to get rich. I'm never going to, I'll be dead 100 years when that comes out. But I changed finance in the world. And those that can pull the trigger know it. Some of you that will pull the trigger will realize it. But I changed finance. One person.
How come you're never given credit, though?
I don't ask for the credit. I don't. So it's not important to me.
No, but to at least this is from my perspective. Maybe it's naive, but for me, it's important to give to the credit to its due.
I don't believe in playing it forward and all that shit. That's a hand job. I mean, guys, I've been around a lot longer than anybody in this room, except for the 66-year-old bald git. Where is he? In the back in the corner. 64. Okay, well, you'll be 66. I probably aged you at least 2 years. I mean, this is all a hand job. And he and I were discussing some of the things, and he said quite candidly, we're all afraid because we think we won't perform. And you're not. If you think that way, if you have one negative thought, like Thomas said, it'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When I was exposed to, not directly this kind of thing, when I discovered Andrew Carnegie, why doesn't everybody do this? And I got after it, and I never looked back. I ultimately left Bear Stearns because of it, because they didn't want to do it like nobody else, because you can't charge any fees. And I've never looked back. I've never analyzed, spreadsheeted, researched, whatever the words you use now, because I know I can always do it. And the big guys that I've gotten in fights with, most of which I've won by Allah's grace, knocking that big guy down the cliff. I mean, you can never underestimate how wrong you can be, but once you're afraid of nothing, the opportunities, the vistas that open up on this planet are beyond counting. And most of you are not much successful because you have no balls. That's it. Every swinging dick, I don't think we have any its in the room, but every swinging dick in this room is not more successful because you lack testosterone. It's that fucking simple. No other reason. Not education, not Grant Cardone, not the Wolf of Wall Street, because you don't have any balls. You're afraid. Everybody in the room. You didn't know better, okay? And you only know what you know. I understand. But now you do. Now, when you go out in this world, I consider it laden with pussies and cunts, if you decide not to do something, in your inner ear, little Dan Peña, I can't fit in your ear because I'm too fat, but little in your ear will say, cunt, 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 cunt. And laughing and smiling about shit like this is a coping mechanism. It's just you're trying to cover up your cunt. Other question? Well, good. I can go to bed early.
Andrew Carnegie.
Yep.
If you were sitting here with him, would you ask him?
I wish I could have. What if you're asking me? What if?
What if you could have a conversation with Carnegie? What would you ask him?
I wouldn't ask him anything. I'd tell him he was a coward for coming to Europe when they were killing his employees. I wouldn't throw accolades at him. I'd read him the Riot Act. Why, with all the money you gave away, isn't there one award that you got from the British Crown? Not one fucking thing. Because you were a coward. You killed people. You paid not to be in the Civil War. I can go on and on and on. And he's my financial idol. He's not my spiritual or person idol. I don't blow smoke. I don't blow smoke. I get nothing but compliments across the board. And I don't make excuses for anything. Yes, sir.
Sir, when we were watching that movie,
Which movie?
On Andrew Carnegie, the guy that was talking about it, he said if Andrew Carnegie knew that the Pinkertons were gonna go and do that stuff to the employees, he would have stopped it.
Oh, that's bullshit. That's what they say now. The Pinkertons are from Glasgow. It's the first real private detective firm in the history of the world. And they were mercenaries. They were modern day, they were not modern. They were considered the modern day mercenaries of that year, or that era, which are now owned by G4, I believe. I don't believe, I know. And no, that's all bullshit. It's like Ford didn't know that they were cracking heads open, killing people, to bust the union. That's all bullshit. But they all wanted plausible deniability, which I already told you about. And that's why Andrew Carnegie came to the UK to play golf and do this bullshit, because he wanted plausible deniability that he wasn't there. And ruthless guys.
The commentator in the movie also said that his main motive was to please his mom because...
Correct. That's apparently
was that
true. Apparently true, to please his mom. And his mom wanted to go Dunfermline, which is about 45 miles from here. His mom was humiliated when they had to close down the weaving shops or whatever. And they went to the United States. That's true. But she was a toxic mom. You guys have been in a lap of fucking luxury, as Sally would say. I've seen shit that no human being should see, but I saw a lot of it as a kid. That's just the way it is. I come from gangster, mafia, shoot them in the streets background. And it's in my blood. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. It's in my blood. But I'm here and you're there. Where would you rather? No, this is a metaphorical question. Where would you rather be? As opposed to the Radio Shack, furniture room, flat that you live in now. It's pretty, it's your choice. The choice is yours. Whether you pull the trigger or not.
Mr. Peña,
Yes, sir.
who is your philosopher?
I don't have any philosophers. But having said that, Aristotle, Plato, Descartes are three of my favorites. But I have not read those books. I've read them. I don't know I'm being facetious now. I don't know when you guys listen to podcasts and shit. I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. It's because you have weak minds. And that's why you meditate. And that's why I know the world is going down the toilet. And you're leading the charge. You know when you flush a toilet, there's a big turd, and it kind of swirls around. You're hanging onto the toilet bowl like this, trying to. Those of you that are the most stupid are trying to ride the turd like a surfboard. Some of you are trying to ride the big turd like a rocket, but you're still going down the toilet. Yeah.
On your day-to-day or throughout the day,
how is your thought process inside your head? Are you mad at something constantly and beating it to death, or
No, no, no. I'm this way when I get up to take my first piss. I pole vault to the bathroom every morning. Pole vault. I take my first piss, and when I take my last piss, when I go to night. Now, when I was his age, I pole vaulted to the toilet at night too, but I only pole vault to the bathroom in the morning now. But I'm this, except for the nap I might take. I'm like this 24/7, 365. I'm exactly the same, and I have been since I'm maybe 16, 18, 19.
but would you consider yourself like a thinker or just pure fucking
No!
instinct?
Fuck
Pure
you.
instinct?
I don't want to be known as a thinker. Fuck that. Jesus Christ. If I don't read any, I've read the Bible several times. I've read the Quran several times, and I've read the Torah several times. But I don't want to be known as a thinker. That's the last fucking thing. He took action. He pulled the trigger. I could have written the 10 Commandments in 5 minutes. He spends up to 40 days jerking off. I don't know what the fuck he took, Jesus, what's wrong with you people? See, I'm the closest, including you, Dustin. I'm the closest that you'll ever be around a high-performance person in your life till today. I mean, you don't know. High-performance people laugh at you. They hope you never wake up. And that's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And that's been since forever. And you can be one of those, I don't consider them elitists, because not everybody that's a high-performance person is elitist. But high-performance people know how to get shit done. Why is Goggins, the ex-SEAL, and Jocko Wacko, and these guys so popular now? Because they got a pair. There's nothing special about them, really. But they got a pair. As opposed to what, your empty sacks you got. In the success test, 5, 6, 7 years ago, the people that took the success test had a failure rate of about 96. And I thought, and one of the questions on the success test is somebody spits in your wife's face. There's 3 or 4 answers. One is I would ascertain, try to figure out what kind of day he was having, if he's having a bad day. Number 2, I try to reason with him. 6 or 7 years ago, as EJ will attest to, and Kat for that matter, I said humanity can't get any worse than that. Because the answer should be you find something, the closest thing to a deadly weapon, and you beat him to death until his brains are on the ground. Somebody spits in my wife's face. I will be in for murder. What's the current failure rate, EJ?
98.37.
98.3. How is that possible? I mean, maybe you can see it. Maybe I exude this. You're a dead motherfucker. First thing I do is bite your jugular vein and you bleed out. I told you this, and you looked at me like I was the devil. I'm not fucking with you. My cousin Ronnie, which is, I've already said one of the 2 favorite cousins, at Lincoln High when my dad went, in 1962, somebody said his girlfriend had the ass like 2 pigs in a gunny sack. Ronnie stabbed the guy 17 times. For whatever reason, the guy didn't die. Ronnie went to prison, blah, blah, blah. But that's what you do where I grew up. And I remember the girl, she was a good-looking bitch, but she kind of had a flabby ass. She did. What are you going to do? Nothing. In caveman day, we know what would happen. And in another 5 or 10 years, the failure rate of the test is going to be 100%. Pardon? Yeah, well, how can you say that? Somebody, spits in your wife's face. You're going to ask them, did you have a good day? My mind can't compute that. I mean, the synapses don't fire. I mean, I don't understand. The Navy SEAL guy that was here 2 seminars ago, Johnny, half Asian guy. And he said, and I asked, if we asked the question of the SEALs, not every SEAL would say kill him. I almost fell into a coma. But he says, they would certainly beat him like a fucking rented mule. The world's changed. When you used to say in the body where I come, the hood, you say something about your family member, them's fighting words. And they may be worth shooting, yeah.
Any comments on the Rockefeller and how to eat your competition for breakfast?
Yeah, well, I had the privilege of being, my first office was in One Rock. And because my first chairman had the One Rock penthouse for Mr. Rock, the original Mr. Rockefeller, they will all cave. You heard the Viking bitch says, you talk, she didn't say rough, but you talk forceful and they cave, and they do cave. They just fall to pieces, the young kids. They used to say when I was on Wall Street, because I went to a school you got to explain about, and Bear Stearns was called like a second tier, and it was an all Jewish firm, although they denied that, and I'm not a Jew. But when a young MBA came from Harvard into the room, I mean, I used to salivate. Saliva used to drip down my face because I was going to eat his eyes out. I had a reputation for that. And today, now, 40, 50 years later, nobody wants to meet with me. But I don't give a shit. I don't have to meet with anybody anymore. But they literally don't want to meet with me. They don't want to meet with Nagy. They don't want to meet all these guys that are successful. Why don't they want to meet with them? Because they know they're going to lose. I can find 1 million people that want to meet with you, cunts. You heard the little Peter, he's a good kid. There's sharks out there. They didn't go to any fucking seminar. Remember when he said that? And why do all these guys come here on their own nickel and want to talk to you? I don't know why they would. I wouldn't do it for them. Because they want to give back. It's not that they feel guilty, but they're beholden to me. I mean, some are $10 million beholden, some are $300 million beholden. I don't ask them. They come, yeah.